I'd like to welcome everyone to the Peninsula Home-Based Business Network Lunch and Learn series. Your host today is the City of Hampton, and my name is Dan Gerard. This program would not be available if it wasn't for our sponsors, which include York County, Williamsburg, James City County, Hampton, Gloucester, Poquoson, and Newport News. Today we have our special guests from the Old Dominion Business Development Center, Monique McWhite and Ben Szymanski. Monique McWhite is the founding director of the Business Development Center at Old Dominion University's Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and is currently serves as the vice president of the National Contract Management Association. She also serves as the vice president and active committee member for the Tidewater Association of Service Contractors and elected industry representative with the Tidewater Government Industry Council. As director of the Business Development Center, Monique has translated her 20+ years of extensive knowledge and experience in government contracting to help empower and serve entrepreneurs, small, mid, and large businesses across a wide range of ventures, from new businesses to existing businesses looking to scale and she provides personal business advising services, training workshops, mentoring, and adaptive general support. Ben Szymanski is a business consultant with the Old Dominion Development Center, and Ben was born into a family business, Szymanski Jewelers, and understands the nuances of entrepreneurship. It's second nature to him. Knowing what makes an enterprise successful is an art of business, and was an active conversation in the family home. He knew that business required a psychological mind as well as an economic overview. So he has a Bachelor of Science in Psychology and a degree from Old Dominion. To augment this degree, he has certifications in gemology, retail management, Gemological Institute of America, mediation from the Mediation Center of Hampton Roads, and personal and executive coaching from the National Institute of Clinical Application and Behavior Medicine. Ben left the family business and as a reflection that he understood that there was a large need for business mentorship. He has honed his experience and consulting, and also with working with the Small Business Development Center. He's helped to create the Hampton Roads Retail Academy. He's also been proud of his clients who've been awarded Retailer of the Year and budding entrepreneurs who saw their dreams successfully move from concept to fruition. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our speakers and allow them to go ahead and begin their presentation.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Monique McWhite. I am the director of the Business Development Center at Old Dominion University. We are partnered with Hampton University with the Virginia Workforce Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center grant. And we have the Business Development Center. We are 4 consultants, business consulting. That's all we do. Apart from this webinar, we really don't do events. We focus in on immediate assistance to help you find your path. So whether you're a startup, you're nascent, or if you've been in doing government contracting for 30 years, depending on where you are, we can help you. We have, again, 4 different types of skill sets within each of us that we can help you along your path, whether it's product assessment, trying to find a new venue for resources, whether it's government contracting or the private sector. We can help you with marketing. So it's a litany of things. So we help you across a variety of venture stages. But we also have money in the coffers, which is very interesting and abnormal. because of COVID, this grant exists to help businesses who have been affected by COVID. Let's face it, we all have. So you have to be, in order to get assistance, you have to be one, a Virginia resident or a Virginia business. You have to register with us. And we are in a new system now, portal with Hampton. And so if you register and you see VWIC Hampton, that's us. We're all one VWIC. And the cap for us is for reimbursements for licenses and certifications. For instance, if you want to get your third-party certification for woman-owned small business, roughly it's $450, depending on the revenue you generate. If you pay for that, you work with us at least twice, you will get reimbursed for that. Again, the cap is $1,750. So, you know, we can talk about this later. If you're interested, you can call us, you can email us. We'll be happy to walk you through it, because this is an absolutely wonderful thing to do to get assistance, because we can help you. There's no doubt. And also we do have money for if you want to get the CMC, or if you're a restaurant, you need the ServSafe. So just to put that seed in your head, to start thinking about certifications and license reimbursements. So certainly we can help. And Ben and I work great together. He's very knowledgeable. Ben Solomonsky is the retail guy. Anything retail, anything business, you name it. I'm not overkilling this one. He's good. We're all good. And we're going to be talking back and forth, because I come from this, I'm a business owner, and I also know a lot about government contracting. I've been doing it since '98. Ben, on the other hand, will tell you he's not the government guy. So we're coming across in a different way. He knows a lot, I know a lot, and together we can certainly answer your questions. So with no further ado, as Dan said, let me go forward. Okay, so this is what I just talked about, the Business Development Center, what we do. We can help you across a variety of different stages. So if you have a question, you register and we will contact you via email. And then first of all, to let you know, welcome. And then we will call you or email you to certainly help you. Again, if you need any information, please don't hesitate to contact us. Our contact information will be at the end of this presentation. But again, the cap for us is $1,750, and that would help any business. So today we're going to be talking about marketing for home-based businesses and websites, you know, because if you don't have a website, you don't exist, really. So a couple things we need to talk about are marketing collateral. What type, Ben, you can jump in anytime. Okay. So, you know, I don't need to tell you that. So marketing materials which are necessary are business cards. Business cards, you might think, oh, wow, big idea, Monique. You'll be surprised at people that hand me business cards that don't have any contact information. They don't have an email. If they do, it's a Gmail, a free mail email address. If you're going to go in business, you've got to go about it right out of the gate. Spend time, spend some money, and help work with us. We have $1,750 to help you with that for certification or licenses. But again, making sure that you have a website that has information that people will need to know to help to get you to get work, right? So you have to have point of contact, what your title is, information on how to get a hold of you. And we're going to talk about if you're at home-based, you're not going to put your home address. So we'll get to that in a minute, but making sure that you have business cards with the proper information so people can contact you. Articulate your value. A lot of times with government contracting, and I'm going to come from that stance, people always say, you know, what do you do? Well, I'm an SDVOSB, I'm a HUBZone 8A. I'm like, well, that's not what you do. Those are certifications, and those are wonderful to have, but you need to talk about the value, what you do, what products or services you have, and what the value of that is. How do you solve the problem? And I think the more you talk about it, the better it is to articulate these types of things. And also having marketing material that you can hand out. and you can also have on your website. And one thing we talk about a lot is a capability statement. You can call it a line card, whatever, but a capability statement is basically your logo, your branding, core competencies. In this day and age, people don't tend to read a lot. So you want to have nuggets of information, bullet points, if you will, where you have, this is what we do, boom, boom, boom. Your past performance, because past performance, anything you've done that shows this is what I've done. I'm good at what I do. And you can, research that, because you need to make sure that parlaying that you have the experience gives people comfort, and they want to work with people that have the experience. Also differentiators, what sets you apart from another business that does identical things that you do. You want to make sure that you're, getting out the crayons and the hand puppets, as I like to say. Don't assume people know what you do or what you have to offer. You have to let people know. And there's no harm in tooting your own horn, because if you don't, who will? Because you're in business. You have to make sure that people understand that you have this product or service for availability. And the website, take time and take some money to do that. And if you have products, make sure that you have a cart. And I would, enthusiastically say, go ahead and have somebody do that for you, because it can be complicated. And you want to make sure that people are aware that you accept credit cards. But again, a website is something that it doesn't have to be extremely fancy, but it has to have content, and it has to change periodically. So it's not going stagnant, and it's very hard to do because there's only so many hours in the day, but really making sure that you are taking pride in what you have and letting people know that, because chances are, if you do that, people will take notice, because the internet is saturated, totally saturated with so many offerings, and taking what you have and shaking it out of that saturation and launching it onto social media, for Facebook, for certain things at different times of the day, and then also on LinkedIn too, Instagram. But don't get, as Ben would say, don't get your 9-year-old cousin to do it. Make sure that you get someone to do these things for you if you don't have time to do it yourself, or at least have them done automatically. So if you post something on Facebook, make sure that the easiest way is to have them spatter across the variety of social media efforts. So Ben, you want to chime in?
Yeah, I guess I will. All right, so let's go back to the marketing materials. Oh, there, we got it back. Okay, so the marketing materials, and you talked about, the business cards. All right, we get really involved with things that we see advertised, such as Vistaprints, and we get all these cards for $5 or $10, and I think that that's just absolutely wonderful that we spend no money on something sometimes. But then this is the point that we get to be penny wise and pound foolish, because even though you get a nice card, a box of them for $10, we don't know if you're not from the commercial art world. And I did work at an advertising agency at one time, between going from a family business to my own, so I was immersed in it. If you're not an art director and you don't know how to present it properly, that's the point that you actually have to get someone to do the card. We have to stop confusing that something is inexpensive versus done properly. And so that goes to the same thing with the marketing materials. The marketing material is something that, is a little bit bigger than a business card. Oftentimes we confuse the difference between advertising, marketing, and public relations. The difference is, in a very traditional sense, is advertising is what you spend to another source to get the word out there for you, meaning you use an advertising agency or an internet advertising agency. So whether it's traditional bricks and mortar or online, you're spending money to get your word out there. Marketing goes to marketing materials per se. So if you have something that's made properly, something that's, let's say half the size of an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, it's something this big. What you do with that is that you're going to put that in the store next door to you, for instance. You ask them, can they put that on the counter if you're in bricks and mortar? And so you're marketing. So you're spreading the word, in a very inexpensive manner to your next door neighbor. When they check out at that cash register, they see your thing. You should also be kind enough to do the same for them. Public relations is basically, Monique is speaking right now. She's speaking to a wide audience. We confuse the terms sometimes, and that's why it's really important to speak to a professional. And so then we're going to go to the social media down here, and then I'll back up to the website. Monique, you talked about LinkedIn for a minute there. When we put things on social media, what we have a tendency to do is we do one thing that is a broad brush stroke to everyone. If you're in a high-end business, you're going to go to LinkedIn, and you may put up something that has a great dollar value there because you have a much more professional audience. And let's go to LinkedIn for a minute. If you write an epistle on there that this thing is lengthy, people will leave. You put 3 sentences and then you put the website domain name there so it can automatically go there. Don't be confused that if you don't get an enormity of likes, because what you're going to do is look at the backside of LinkedIn and see what the analytics say, because a view is something that is 5 seconds or more being viewed, but humans are lazy. They'll break into a sweat clicking like. So you actually may get a lot of views, which is just as important as a like. A like cites the algorithms. All right, now, if you go to Facebook, Facebook is, I won't say deteriorated because Mark Zuckerberg may be listening to me. We don't know what's going to happen from that. But they're not a place where you place expensive items or services any longer. All right, now, if you've signed up to Facebook, you should be also able to sign up to Instagram. And so really you can do one scenario and it'll automatically go there. Being that LinkedIn has a staked interest in Twitter, you sign up to Twitter, you do that, so and it'll automatically go to Twitter. So therefore you don't really have to do 4 separate things, Now, you have to do this several times a day in order for it to work. I had a client yesterday said, oh, I put things up 3 times a week. Well, that's really getting lost out there, because companies that have professional web people that they're just doing this all day long. You have to remember, as a sole proprietor or a small business, you have to compete with them. So you either have to have someone in your staff to do this, or you have to do it, yourself on several occasions a day. And this is the point where you also have to be interactive. How many people that have seen the little avatar at the bottom of a screen from a big company and it says, do you have a question? Well, we may not be able to afford that as small entrepreneurs, but when someone clicks like, they say, thanks for the like. Be sure and be interactive with them. And that's the point in time that you can actually see their name. Through analytics on the backside, you can get their address and you can start building a customer base, a potential customer base free of charge, sweat equity. No one's digging ditches here. You're in air conditioned. You can do this. And so this is what you do. So the social media, don't do the same thing for everyone. Now, when I go back to the website scenario, once again, as yes, I use that expression, don't let a 9th grader be your advertising agency. And so it's really difficult to do a proper website. And yes, cheap ones are really cheap to build. The problem of it is we become so visually savvy in this day and age that everybody in the free world can see that was a Shopify, one of the 4 templates, and you're going, okay, is that good for me, or is the one that really looks professional over there better for me? Because we're visually oriented. That goes to spending money. But what we also fail to understand about websites is website is an old term to where everything was informational. Well, now it's e-commerce, and seeing the two they're misdefined sometimes. E-commerce means that, I say, for instance, that you're in the landscaping business. Wouldn't it be great to have a page on the backside of the first page, the informational page, to where it says, click here for bi-monthly service. Click here for weekly service. That way you're establishing there's money in your bank account. You can budget your business ahead of time by money that is already there. And then you've established relationship with the customer. I'll be there every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And so you don't have to guess whether the person's going to pay you. The reason why I bring this up is people that are not retail think that they can't ask for money. Well, I'm dealing with a lady right now who's absolutely wonderful. She just created a senior event, and she was always anticipating that people were going to come to her events with cash in the hand. And I said, no, I said, let's reorient this. I said, membership driven, pay you in advance. You're going to always know what your budget is to rent the hotel room for this guest speaker that you have. Wound up last week, she got 21 memberships by doing this. She was too timid to do it before asking for money. But the way that we take the onus of that from our brain is this: everybody on this site right now has bought something from Amazon. Well, you don't mind giving them money in advance, so you shouldn't, mind for the service either. So these things grow over a course of time. The definitions change over a course of time. And lastly about the website is like the opening page, the landing page should change monthly at a minimum. And the analogy that I give for that is if you have a bricks and mortar store, sometimes you change the fixtures, sometimes you change where the plants are, sometimes you repaint. Why do people think that a website should be static? It's like you have to give a new sense of excitement, monthly, if not weekly, because it is just too crowded out there to be static, and it does not work on its own. So that's why social media has to be interactive on your part, meaning that you're advertising your product. And this is one of the things that I recommend to all my clients that I have for the past 20 years, and it seems to work. All right, I grew up in retail since I was 7 years old. My dad didn't read the child labor laws, and so I worked as a kid. And what I found out is if someone came into the store, they would buy something or leave something for repair. So you would see them 3 times. And then on the 4th time, they may come in and say, well, how's your son doing in school? How's little Billy doing? Does he love those new braces, whatever. And so they become friends. So this is the point that you have to do the same thing in e-commerce. You put something up there, your product, you mow lawns, your plumber, whatever it is. And then on the 4th time, you go, we're having a barbecue at my house. What did you do on your Sunday? Show that you're a human being and you're not just somebody asking for money. It's not really original. It's just electronic because, small bricks and mortar entrepreneurs have been doing this for years. And so there you have it. Next,
Thank you,
go
Ben.
Monique.
There you go.
Yeah.
Got it from Ben.
Yay.
Everybody need a break? I'm kidding. Okay, so let's move forward. Okay,
Coffee's a wonderful thing, wasn't it?
Pardon?
Coffee was a wonderful thing, wasn't it?
I test. Okay, so knowing who you are, what you offer, and that's something we talked about. Again, the more you talk about what you do, the easier it is to parlay your essence, what you do for your business, what you do, how you serve people, whether it's a service or a product. Again, listing the differentiators. Again, there's many different things, and you may think that it's, that's just what I do. Yeah, no, you'd be surprised. Write them down. Get a legal pad. Just jot down things that you do, everything that you have to offer, and what makes you special. Because there's something, I guarantee there's going to be something that you're going to say, oh, wow, you know what? That is something that I can do. Let's just say, Ben was talking about like maybe landscaping, right? So if you're a landscaper, you could say, well, you could offer something like in the first, like if you try my services, I will do something, an extra hour for you at a discount or something special. So say that you have, for instance, I know the city of Virginia Beach that I live. They do not pick up cardboard boxes anymore, flat cardboard boxes. You have to bring them to the dump. Okay, so if I'm doing landscaping and I have, a truck and I have stuff to work on lawns, I could say, well, if you use me and you have stuff in your garage or maybe cardboard boxes that you're not able to get rid of because maybe you have a small Honda Civic or whatever, I'll take them for you it's okay. I'll be happy to do something for you. Do you agree with me, Ben? Because I think these little things that you do, that you offer, you're not doing a handstand. It's common courtesy, but it's also showing that I have a service. I'm going to help you. You're building trust. And if I do something for you like that, well, that's a differentiator. I'm kind. I want to help you. Right. So your chances are getting a client and keeping them are really high.
There are ways to do it without the discount, though. Like if the landscaper guy, this is a perfect example because, there's certain service industries where they don't follow up like with a thank you note or things of this nature. Every business should now treat themselves as if they were Tiffany's and send a thank you note, simple things like that. But on the other hand, like say, for instance, like we went to that page that I mentioned that you're doing, once a week service. All right, that it's a cursory thing. I just want, weed eating and mowing the lawn. But all of a sudden the guy says, did I do a nice job today? I got that limb that was hanging over the wall. They didn't ask it of you. And you went up there, you go, he didn't charge me more. And in essence, it only took him 5 minutes, but he was being a good business person. He did it and it was a spiff, and it touches your heart as well. And so there are things that you can do by quality, ethics, going beyond, the call of duty, and it'll be remembered. But not only be remembered for you, that you're going to tell your next door neighbor, he will have increased business. It's simple, but we don't think of these things sometimes.
Right. And when I say I'm going to be someplace, I'm going to be someplace at that time, plus or minus 30 seconds. So again, when you say that I'm going to come to your house on Friday to mow your lawn at 11 o'clock, I want you there at 11 o'clock on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just an example. So understanding your customer, Ben, you want to talk about that?
Yes. All right. I think there's a way to look at this in two perspectives. All right. I'll preach by example. All right. So I helped the store. This was one of my retailers of the year, and I helped a gift store if you're not from Virginia Beach, it's way out in the suburbs, let's just say that. And I went in there and everything was entirely outside of the realm of what the neighborhoods would buy. When you're in bricks and mortar, the best that you can have is a circumference of 5 miles. If you're lucky, it's more or less 2 miles. And I did a ghost run, meaning I looked at the neighborhoods before I went to this lady's store. And so I got it, an idea that it was a very conservative environment, very preppy kind of thing. I went in there and everything that she had was very contemporary. I mean, very beautiful, but we are in business to make money. And so you have to service your environment. And I asked her, I said, what's going on? I said, did you look at the neighborhoods before you signed the lease? And she went, no, should I? And I'm like, yes. And I said, how did you come up with this? She goes, I like them. The lady at the gift show in New York, she said that these were good sellers. Great. In Northern Virginia, New York, bigger environments, those things probably were a good seller. She wasn't lied to, but she didn't know the first thing about her suburban Virginia Beach neighborhood, and she did no homework. So knowing your customers means that you've done a survey of your particular environment. You don't read a stat sheet somewhere like that. And so then knowing your customers, once again, the other part of the scenario is the market saturated? I've gone by shopping centers and there are 3 gift stores. They all went to the same gift show and they all have the same thing. And I'm going, wow, this is something. No one's done their homework. All right. So you didn't know that you were oversaturated. There's only so many customers you can service with the same product. And so when you talk about who you serve, there are subsets all down the line. And then knowing your environment, it's like there are some things that are so hot on the market, whether it's clothes, jewelry, gifts, that in New York that you couldn't possibly sell in Gloucester. Then you just eliminate, so it's not only knowing your customer, but it's knowing your product. Is it perfect for my geography?
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of subsets there, which goes into knowing your audience. Knowing your audience is also knowing where you live and knowing where you place the store. And that gets into market segmentation too, because when I had a Norfolk store, it was entirely different. The store was stocked differently than Virginia Beach. If I had have done them both the same, I would have died. And it's the same way with many of my clothing stores that I service. You know, what is on the peninsula is not the same thing that's at the ocean front at Virginia Beach. So those are my thoughts. How about you, Monique? What do you think?
No, I agree with you. I'm just reading a comment from Sarah Prince. Coming from a graphic design agency, what advice do you have for a B2 business to business market for social media?
Go ahead.
Well, let me think on that. And Sarah, look, we'll get with you on that. I'm going to give you a thoughtful answer, but I'm just going to go with the, continue on if you don't mind, but we'll get to you.
Mhm.
Branding. Okay. So this may be in line with what you're asking. Branding, making sure that you have a logo, that you have a message, a tagline, something. Because if I see you have an acronym for a name, I don't know what that means, nor does most people who might not know what that means. Use your words. You know, acronyms are easy, but they kind of, again, if you're dealing with the government, you're going to hear a ton of them. And what you may hear with the Army may not transpose properly in civilian life. So branding, making sure that when I hear a name, I know what you do, or if I don't, have a tagline, or at least show on your collateral, your business marketing material of something that says what you do, because it's not all in a name. Sometimes you have to read into it, because
And
again,
if it's a bad name, even if it's not an acronym,
right,
can I give you one example?
sure.
All right, so this was, and I remember, I think you like this example. All right, it's from years ago. I told you. All right, I had to work with a restaurant in Virginia Beach, and it was the name of a condiment. I won't say it because maybe they were a friend of yours, but it didn't say whether they were Nouvelle cuisine, you know, steaks, hot dogs, seafood. It said nothing, and they wondered why they had no business. So I go out there and I mean, what the people were telling me that they didn't know what it was true. It was just the name of this condiment. So I speak to the chef, who was also the owner, and I said, tell me, I said, how did this come about? I said, you know, people have 9/10 of 1 second to make a decision whether they pull into your place. They're hungry when they're coming home from work. They have a long commute. And I said, they just don't know what it is. And he says, you know, and he was being very chef-like, and he goes, I thought it was rather creative. I said, well, it's so creative that there's no one at your door. And so when you think about it, the condiment that he was you know, pontificating about, it was something that doctors tell you not to eat so much of either, you know, when he thought it was really cool. So the logo, the name, the branding has to really specify what you basically have. I always use the example, it took 100 years for Tiffany's just to say Tiffany's. It started out as Tiffany Jewelers, and yet nowadays we see that people just put this name, it means nothing. You have to put something up there. Why don't people that are starting businesses put the name, you know, on a folded piece of paper and hand it to 10 of their friends and neighbors and get feedback from them, you know, before they start something? So sometimes the answer can be really simple, and the person that gives you the most harsh critique, they may be your best friend.
Well said.
Right?
Yeah, it's true. That's absolutely true. So we already talked about know your audience, but also timing and marketing activities. And that could be, it could be with social media, it could be with anything, but thinking about, so if you're maybe networking events, going to these things, making sure that you absolutely connect with people and don't be ashamed or leery of bringing business cards, but the timing of marketing activities based on, you know, always market, you know, that's the timing. I guess the thing is market whenever you can, Because again, social media, Ben, we talked about this earlier on about making sure that you time these things like during the day. You know, a lot of times we have time at night where we want to, I have time at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. I think I'm going to post on LinkedIn. Well, by the time you post it, there's so many other people that are posting on top of you. By the time people wake up and get their coffee and look at LinkedIn or Facebook, it's buried. So try to do these marketing initiatives early in the morning. Don't you agree, Ben? Did you freeze?
Yeah, anytime that it used to be, it was 10 to 2 that
Yeah.
marketed on the internet. And now I just gave up trying to time things. I go, anytime you have something to say, do it. Just have great frequency now.
Yeah, I guess it's the frequency. Yeah, not so much, but even if, I don't know if you have an audience at night, but make sure that you start in the morning. I think that's what I'm finding. And you had talked about getting from compliments to cash. You know, people are, oh, I love your paintings. I love this. I love that. Well, you know, that's the thing on your website. You had just talked about with the landscaping person, you know, making sure that you can have a membership or do something right away on your website so they can click a button and register and have a membership and get some money. Like you had talked about your client, where she absolutely listened to you and started making money. So she was saying, oh, this is a great idea, what you're doing, but what do you have to show for it? She listened to you, and what is she doing? She's generating income. So you're going from compliments to cash by doing simple things, right?
Right.
Okay, so we need to talk about something that I think is important. Know the legal ramifications of in your neighborhood, because this is basically home-based businesses. And, you know, I mentioned about Virginia Beach, love Virginia Beach, born and brought up here, but, you know, now, there's some things that every neighborhood's different. So with regard to having a home-based business, Ben, you have a story you'd like to tell. I know that there's a story that's very pertinent to this.
Yeah, thanks. Well, 2 stories. 2 of the people I did know, it was just an article in the Virginian Pilot, and it was when people read the newspaper. And one was an electrician, not an electrician, a person that fixed electrical products. And he got called out by his neighbors because people were dropping off the product, picking up the product. It was really becoming a operation that it should have been in a strip mall, so to speak. You know, on one hand, I don't blame them. The neighbors did, seek legal help because their neighborhood was not zoned for that. And so quite frankly, the neighbors were right. They called it like they saw it. The same thing happened to a nice lady in a very close neighborhood that was a seamstress. And so, of course, people had to drop off the product. They went inside, got fitted, and then they would pick up the product later. Oh boy, it just caused all sorts of trouble. So they had to cease what they were doing. And what they wound up doing was they limited the cars because they liked living in their home and they liked also making a living. But what they did is they wound up picking 1 or 2 days a week where they were their own delivery service. That way the cars weren't, coming with the same amount of frequency. The other one that you were referring to was actually a neighbor of mine. One of my neighbors owns one of the Remax franchises. The husband and wife, and they devoted their whole first floor to their home for their office, even though they do have an office in town center for the rest of the staff. But they like to work from home because they're getting up in years. And once in a while, people will come to the house to review a contract. I actually had a neighbor that filed a suit that there were too many cars coming, and they had to limit that. As a matter of fact, they said you can no longer come to the house to review your contract. So that was kind of sad. Point being is that even in your city, there will be different covenants for your neighborhood. So if you have a home-based business where people are coming and going, don't get an illegal, wrangling. It's not worth it. It'll cost you time, money, and customers.
Thank you. Very good. And, home-based business is another issue, well, security, being conscious of that. Making sure that, when you work from your home, you certainly don't want to put your home address on your website and your marketing material. So the thing to do is either get a PO box or through UPS getting an actual address that your merchandise, your product, your mail goes to a specific mailbox, and you can alleviate the worry of having your home address on marketing material. So you can rent out a space through the UPS store, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Good
So
idea.
that's very important. And also, that's protecting your home and protecting your family, protecting your products. It just keeps it clean. So that's one way around it. So I'm going to continue on. Okay, we talked about capability statements. These are pretty important because, it's something you can leave behind, give to people. You can have that as a landing page on your website. So these are a couple of questions that a couple of things we're going to talk about with a capability statement. I know I'm jumping around, but I really do want to talk about this because I really feel that it is important, whether you're in the public sector, government contracting, my bailiwick, or if you're private sector, residential, it doesn't matter. I'd have one. So it should answer 3 questions. I'm going to read it. I mean, you can read, y'all. It's just, how can your company best suit the needs of a particular prospective buyer? So Ben, you want to ping on that?
Yeah, it was that actually the answer is almost similar to what we talked about before, about knowing the demographics and the people to whom you're serving. There will be a different answer for this for your government contracting, but all right, if you know, all right, let me back up. If you know that the metropolitan Hampton Roads area does not have the wealth of McLean, Virginia. First of all, this goes back to the other thing. It's like, that your prospective buyer, for the most part, is never that crowd. So, what does my company do for my audience? But then you have the subset about why do I do it better? What service am I offering that's better? Because there is actually no underserved service scenario or retail scenario in Tidewater. There's not, there are plenty of electricians, there are plenty of plumbers, there are plenty of landscapers, there are plenty of retailers, there are plenty of e-commerce, e-tailers as we call it. There are plenty of them. So now it's like what best suits the need. All right, so the need may go beyond what the actual product is. It's like, can I, as a home-based person, can I go to your home or office and offer the service which circumvents the other person who never wants to see you? And so therefore, it's like, may not be the actual meat and potatoes of what you do. Like, say for instance, you're a home-based accountant. Can you go to that person's office? Can you go there after hours? So the need is really a spiff at this point, and that's what's differentiating in this current society right now. Does that make sense?
It does to me. Yeah, and if anybody has any questions, please reach out to us. Again, our contact information is going to be at the end, but these questions, really take a sincere, thoughtful look at them. And that should be on your capability statement, because really you want to just relay the message to folks, because it's very helpful. If people don't know what you do, they're not going to buy what you have. And you really need to articulate that in that page. It's one page, it's real estate, use it and express who you are and what you have to offer. People use a lot of if you have a security clearance, put it on there. Or if you have bonding capacity, put that on your capability statement. Any differentiators, we talked about that, but what is it about your people, your business, that gives you the advantage over your competition? And you have to look at your competition. Open source, with government, but not only with the government, but the private sector and residential. Follow the money. Look at your competitors. what are they doing and how do you do it different? How could you do it different? Think about these things because it makes a difference in the totals that you get in your bank account. Really, you want to generate income. If you don't, you're dying, and you don't want to do that. You want to make money, and there's no sin in that. I mean, you're out to do that. It's your business. You need to find customers and be loyal to them, and they want to see that. And that's in this day and age, it's a welcome thing. So again, why are your products are a better solution than others? You know, just really think about that. Jot it down. It may seem simple to you, and it may like, why am I writing this down? But I guarantee you, it's going to resonate with people.
Mhm.
Again, logo on your branding. Make sure that that's on everything. Your business cards, what have you, marketing material, and your capability statement. You know, even if you have it on your car, you know, that's fine too. You know, depending on what you do, it's a great way to advertise. Specific point. Okay, so again, these are things. I know it sounds redundant and sounds simple, but believe me, I have enough business cards to show that I've collected over the years where I don't have a point of contact or I don't have a way to call. If I can't call someone and I don't know who to ask for, I'm not going to call. You know, and you want people to contact you. You want people to inquire. It differentiates that's a big deal. Differentiators, you know, if you're doing government contracting, make sure you put your NAICS codes. There's a commodity codes, NIGP codes for the state. Making sure that your unique identifier, used to be a DUNS number, is on your marketing material. This is government. So again, I'm going to say this, and I know it's not Ben's world, but a lot of you, I mean, we are in Pentagon South. The government is not going to make it easy for you. You need to make it easy for the government. Put your contact information, your cage code, your identifier, your unique identifier, the new SAM, it used to be DUNS. You can put the DUNS number if you're selling to like Wegmans, if you have a product, those are still used. However, you have to make sure that people can get a hold of you and understand what you do. And with government contracting, that capability statement, you're going to put those pertinent data codes. Like I said, that should be on your, not your EIN. For God's sakes, please do not put your EIN. That is like a social security. That's your tax ID. I see that a lot. Do not put that on your anything to the public. That is your tax ID. Do not display that in the public. Believe me, I see that a lot, and it makes me cringe. Again, the more you know about the past, the better prepared you are for the future. Oh, if you're doing government contracting, open source, FPDS, USA spending. You want to see who's buying what you're selling. You follow the money. You follow what industry is buying what. Hi. Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna we'll just talk. Ben, do you have anything to add? I just got the hands that we're going to be wrapping up shortly.
Yeah, the only thing that I have to add that I just, you know, remembered to say is that when you do the e-commerce page, it's like, please, you know, reach out to Square, Stripe, and put all of the, you know, possible credit cards that can be taken. And I'm going to just give one example. It's like a lady that I was working with last week. She says, well, I have Cash App. And I said, that's not working. I said, that's great for you and your friends. I said, but this has to look professional on here. Put all the things on there. Make sure it's a 2-click checkout. Remember, you're making life easy for your customer, not the other way around. So that's
very good.
That's the simple answer.
Yeah, and networking and building these relationships. Talk to people, let them know what you do. Go to conferences. Oh, and also, like I talked about, okay, and here one of the bullet points is memberships. Professional memberships, like Tidewater Association for Service Contractors, NCMA, that's government, but there's tons of memberships that you can belong to that you can coordinate with people and network and build relationships and partnerships and build your cadre of people so that way you can be pertinent and relevant in what you do. It's and again, they're out there. If you need any help trying to find them, you can certainly call us, give us a we can help you. But certainly reach out to us, reach out to your economic development, your cities, get connected, you know, link in with us and post, you know, let people know who you are and what you do. And we really look forward to meeting with you. If you have any questions, we're very happy to help you. But you have to register to get assistance. That's the caveat of the grant. But we do have money in the grant if you are interested. Again, if you want to take, we can send these out. Okay, one more thing. When you have, I'm glad I clicked on this. Use real photographs. Don't use stock photos. And if I see another shaking hands, I just don't think I can make it. So we can have, I guess, Dan, can we share these slides at some point if they want?
Yes, and if you want, you got a few more minutes. You can go through a couple of those.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
go back. There were some important things. Go back. Yeah.
Where?
That's where you left
Next,
off.
the next slide, not this
Next
one.
one.
Yes,
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so did you want to
The
say
email
something?
is where you left off.
Okay, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's really simple, and it's a point of contention for you and I, but we'll tell the world. You know, getting a real live commercial email address is no longer expensive, but you know, being penny wise and pound foolish by having Gmail to identify a business is a death knell in this day and age. It's like, even if you're a home-based business and you being a sole proprietor, you can look so important with a .com, .net address. You know, most people offer it at $4.99 a month. Why would you, you know, not spend $5 a month to look like a real live business? So it's that simple.
Yeah. Yeah,
You have to do it.
yeah.
You don't
That's
look like
true.
a business with saying Gmail.
Remember, you are a professional business. Show it. You know, it doesn't cost that much to get it done, and have it your domain name, you know, whatever your name of your business at, you know, lawncareservices.com. It really does make a difference.
Right.
And especially if you're doing government contracting, it does make a big difference. But even if you don't, you should do that. You should absolutely be professional with regard to your mail, with everything, with your name.
well, there is one question they have. Do you help nonprofits?
I answered that and I said, yes, we do.
Okay. And can you put up your contact information? And what is the web address? ODU Business Development Center, right? There we go.
Can you see it?
Yep.
And even though it says VWIC Hampton, we are all one VWIC. We are partnered with Hampton University, and there is 3 phases of when you register. You will be vetted based on the questions that are asked, but we are in phase 3. So this is a new type of thing that we're doing with regard to this portal, but register, you won't be sorry. Thank you.
All right. Gonna go. Right. Do we have any other questions out there that people have?
Hey, Dan, this is Matt. I don't know if we ever got back to the question about coming from a graphic design agency. What advice do you have for the B2B marketing for social media? I know there was going to be some thought given to that one, but I don't know if we came back to it.
Oh, yeah. I'd have to really think about that. Ben, do you have anything to?
Well, I'd like to learn more, and I know that it's not interactive with the audience, but here's my question. All right, so it's business to business, and she's a graphic artist to where is she currently dealing with private business? And when she talks about B2B, B2B generally refers to like similar organizations dealing with similar organizations. But B2B also could be like she's a graphic artist and she needs to do a logo for a clothing store. I'm not sure exactly, what she's asking, but I would be happy that if she, wrote to me and gave me everything, I answer everyone back. So if I learn more, I can answer her.
So
Does that
maybe,
help?
maybe
I just don't know all the encumbrances, what she's asking, but I can help her if I know more, and I will speak to her if she writes.
so Ben and Monique, maybe while Dan is wrapping up, I know several people have asked for the contact information, and I know it's in the slides, but in case they don't get the slides, maybe you can put your contact info in the chat available for everyone.
Oh,
So that they
yeah,
can
I
pull
saw
off
that.
of there while Dan is wrapping things up.
I saw
Well, I
that.
also want to encourage everyone to visit their website, ODU Business Development Center. You can just Google that and you'll go right there, and their contact information is right there on the right-hand side. They're happy to work with you, and they have a number of programs that you can look into on the website as well. And then I really want to encourage everybody to continue to be part of this series. The localities here on the peninsula really support our home-based businesses, and we want you to learn as much as you can. And we're trying new ways to try to help you out. So next month on July 13th, we have Joey Pocan with the Small Business Administration, who will be talking about online sales. So please join us for that event. And with that, again, I would encourage you to reach out to the ODU Business Development Center. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.